Hello everyone, hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Strompfel and this will be my draft analysis for the team that I'm going to compete with in PEBA Season 2, which is a sentence that I'm so excited to say since, if you didn't know, PEBA was actually the first league I ever took part of online. And since you know it was so much fun last time, I decided to re-enter for a second time, and this is looking to be even better than last time in all honesty. We got boys like J Creams, we got Nico and Dr. Slacking, OGs. We got Isaac and Oscar, my Swedish boys. We got Fadaki's coming back. Toasty Rex is coming back. The champion Todd, which I still need to get revenge on. All of these and so many more is going to take part of this season, which is just makes me very happy and so excited to be a part of it. So yeah, PEBA Season 2 is going to be completely stacked with good coaches. I'll of course be representing the PSV Enteihoven for the PEBA Season 2. Shouts to Kresselke once again for this fantastic logo. I think she did an absolutely amazing job with it. It's the only time I've been in love with something non-human, just to give some reference. So yeah, shoutouts to you. It's been amazing. And if you can hear some construction noise in the background, I'm really terribly sorry about that. Nothing I can really do about that though. My neighbors seem to really dislike their front yard, so they're just trying to tear it down. But let's stop rambling because, you know, I'm gonna ramble for about 25-30 minutes about my team, so let's stop rambling about my neighbors. Don't want to make this another PCBL video where I did ramble for like 45 minutes about my team, so let's cut this a little bit shorter. So, PEBA Season 2, there was 18 coaches, nothing really crazy unbanned or banned, it was a regular snake draft, so it's kind of your generic draft system in general, like there is a million of them today, so yeah, nothing really crazy to talk about there. So I was actually number 7 in the draft order, so I was pretty much expecting all like these top tier Pokemon, Celesteela, Landorus, Tapu Koko, the like top 3 Pokemon, those should be gone by the time it comes around to me. So I was actually creating this kind of cool draft plan around a Mew, which I unfortunately did not get to pull off, but I got something else instead, and you'll see that in just a minute. Also, one thing I do need to mention before we actually go any further, there will be some questionable picks, as you might find out later, but that's actually because one of the other guys in the league called Ace, he was actually quite unhappy with his first pick, and I was quite interested in his first pick, so we actually did a bunch of trades right after the draft ended. So some of these picks I will actually include instead of the Pokemon that I actually picked up and trade away to him. So you might be questioning why I got this Pokemon so late in the draft. Well, that's because I traded it with Ace and it just fell in that order when we did like the trades and stuff. So don't worry about that, I'll explain it when it get there. But of course I was talking about my Mew draft. I unfortunately didn't get to pull it off, but I had this one rule when I built this Mew draft plan. It was, if Celesteela falls to me, I'll pick it up. It doesn't matter how much I love this Mew draft, I'll pick up Celesteela if it gets to me. And what do you know? My number 1 pick, the first pick for the PSV Enteihoven, will actually be Celesteela. So Celesteela is one of those amazing draft league Pokemon you should never pass up on if you get a chance to. If it's still available and it's your turn, just scoop it up, throw away whatever draft plan you had, in my case the Mew draft plan, and just start up from scratch with Celesteela, which is exactly what I did. Now, I did love the Mew plan, but Celesteela is just that good, so it was totally worth it and I have no regrets at all. It gives you so many rolls right from the start, might actually, in my opinion, be the best start to a draft league team just ever. It is a steel type, which is so crucial. Every team needs a steel type, is what you're hearing all around, because fairies are running around like bunnies in draft play today, so having a very solid steel type is just so crucial. It also gives me a flying type right away, which is very good, since, you know, ground is such a prevalent offensive typing, so having that ground immunity right off the bat is super good, and Celesteela just hands that to me pretty much for free. And steel and flying is one of the best defensive typings in the game. There's only 2 types that can actually break this, being fire and electric, and those 2 can easily be patched by other members on the team, so I'm not even worried about that. I just need to pick something up for those and I should be good to go. And the defensive typing of Celesteela gets easily backed up by the stats distribution of this monster as well. It has such a well-rounded stats distribution that it is scary. It can be running stuff like physically attacking, physically defensive, specially specially attacking, specially defensive, and so many other sets which is just top tier. And the thing with Celesteela is whatever it does very well. It will be annoying, it will be aggressive, it can do whatever it wants. And even though it might look like it has a bit of a lackluster speed, its move pool actually backs this up. It does have access to the speed boosting, move, a Totemize, which is very prevalent and such a big threat. Everyone who plays draft knows that the Totemize Celesteela is nothing to fuck with. It is a very scary sweeper for sure, especially with the ability Beast Boost, boosting the stats that is the highest in a Totemize case. That should be one of the attacking, so you can just snowball away. But if you pick up a kill with a defensive Celesteela, you can just be something that your opponent just never breaks in their entire lifespan. Celesteela is all around a top tier Pokemon, and something that I'm not regretting picking up round 1 at all. Most of the nicknames I give to my Pokemon are actually based on songs, so Celesteela will actually follow that trend, and the nickname for this season will be Quantum, which is a song made by astronauts. So moving into round number 2, we do see a trend that most Mega Pokemon are actually going at this point, which is completely valid since, you know, there are 18 coaches, all of them has to grab a Mega Pokemon, so if you want to grab a really good one, you should pick it up in round 1 or round 2, and you know, I'm staring down a Mega Pokemon, which I think is top tier first of all, and something that I've used in the past, and something that I think synergizes super well with Celesteela, and luckily enough, it falls all the way down to me, so joining the PSV Enteihoven will be Mega DNC, or Saving Light. Now Mega DNC, where can I even begin with this Pokemon? It is so offensively scary against your opponent's entire team. Having that Rock and Fairy dual stab coming off a base 160 attack and special attack is incredible. There's not a lot of Pokemon that can switch into it, and Mega DNC having viable options both on the special and physical side when it comes to move pool is just incredible in draft play. Especially with that nice base 110 speed, makes this Pokemon a menace to deal with on the opposing side of the field. This is just such a huge offensive threat that not a lot of teams actually can deal with. And it does have some cool options as well that it can run. It has access to Rock Polish if it wants to sweep, Carmine if it wants to set up, it can set up rocks, it can sub Endeavor, it has the cool ability in Magic Bounce, which you actually can play around with if you want to play a little bit risky. This Pokemon cannot be statused by like Will-O-Wisps and Thunder Waves and stuff like that, makes it a very, very cool Pokemon to play with, and the fact that Celesteela and Mega DNC synergizes super well together. Now, Mega DNC, of course, has a little bit of a trouble dealing with those steel types, but Celesteela just comes in and takes full advantage of those steel types. It can set up Totemizes, Leech Seeds, it can set up Substitutes. Most steel types can't break Celesteela, and Mega DNC also struggles a little bit with ground types. Celesteela just laughs at the ground types. Celesteela can struggle a bit with those fire types. Mega DNC takes full advantage of those. I can deal with them offensively on with my Rock Stab in Diamond or Power Gem, or I can even switch into them and scare them out, maybe setting up those Stealth Rocks, or maybe set up a Substitute or something like that. So those two Pokemon synergizes so well together. I'm super excited to have them both on the same team. Now, even though Mega DNC is a fire switching, in theory, I don't want it to be my only fire type switching on the team, since, you know, it does lack reliable recovery, and Mega DNC kind of shines when it gets just fire off attacks. So I want to pick up something that can just sponge every single fire move that is directed towards Celesteela, and that is usually a bulky water type. So in round 3, I thought to myself, might as well just pick up a bulky water type right now, get a top tier 1, so that can like form a very disgusting core with my Celesteela, so Celesteela doesn't get forced into a defensive role. So, in round 3, I decided to pick up a bulky water type, which I heavily enjoy using and I think is like top tier, and that's going to be my Lotic. Now, my Lotic is a fantastic bulky water type. It is, in my opinion, the best bulky water type, just due to the fact that this Pokemon can actually beat pretty much all other bulky water types in the game, due to the fact that it has first of all, Recover, which is fantastic. Also, it does have ability to Toxic Scald and also Dragon Tail, since it can Dragon Tail out something that is trying to set up. Now, it does have a very cool tech, which got a little bit of a buff in Generation 7, which you most likely know at this point, which is Marvel Scale and the Flame or Marvel Scale tactic. Marvel Scale, of course, pretty much gives you a 50% boost in your defense, making this Pokemon incredibly bulky, and takes away your opponent's ability to Toxic it, which means that it's going to sit in front of you, not lose too much health, recover it all up, and just take no damage at all. And you're not able to Toxic it at all. It can just Scald you, Toxic you, and pretty much wear you down. Milotic forms an incredible core with Celesteela, only really weak to electric type moves, which I need to kind of patch up right now. Right now my team looks a little bit weak to electric type moves, but I'm gonna patch that up later on. You don't need to worry about that. Milotic does have some other cool techs, stuff like the competitive set. If the opponent tries to defog on me, I can switch in Milotic, double my special attack, and now actually become quite a serious threat, since I do have base 100 special attack. Now my special defense is already off the charts, which means that Milotic most likely will focus on the physical defense with that Marvel Scale Flame Orb combination, which is just absolutely gorgeous. Now Milotic, the nickname will be Prism, and this is actually a throwback to Season 1 where I had Milotic and it just never died. So moving into round number 4, you might have remembered me saying that I do have a slight problem with those electric type moves, but you know, I'm gonna postpone that problem into a later day and actually focus a little bit more on my offense, because in round number 4 I actually found a Pokemon that I think is a little bit misplaced. I do think it's way too good to be in tier 3, and that Pokemon is gonna be Greninja. Now Greninja is a very cool Pokemon in my opinion. It is of course the Torrent version and not the Protean version like we faced versus Cav in the PCBL. Now Torrent is a very underrated ability on Greninja, and I do think many people underestimate the amount of damage you can do if you're actually in Torrent range, which you can be if you chip yourself down with Life Orb, or if you're just a little bit more bulky as you take one hit. Now Greninja, the main name of the game is of course that base 122 speed, being able to pretty much check offensively most offensive Pokemon, and can actually snipe them up with pretty decent offensive stats, especially if you can run something like a attack boosting nature if your opponent's team is quite slow. Greninja also offers a lot of versatility. Its move pool is huge. It does have priority, which is always appreciated on a team. Of course I am stacking up on water types right now, but I will fix that later on, don't you worry. Greninja gives me a very good pivot. I can go into it, maybe not take a hit, but I can force something out, U-turn, bring in my Mega Diancie, bring in my Celesteela, something like that. Greninja also gets access to both Spikes and Toxic Spikes, which is very good because Spikes plus Mega Diancie is so terrifying. Oh my god. If you chip down your Steel type and Mega Diancie is still sitting at a reasonable amount of health, it will get at least 2 kills in a battle. I can guarantee you that. And Greninja will help me with that a lot. And even if Mega Diancie dies, maybe I have chipped down everything in range of Greninja, Greninja will just come in, click Water or Dark type, just a dual stab, or maybe one coverage or 2, and the entire team will fall on its back. And that's mainly why I decided to pick up this Pokemon. I wanted to have that speed demon on my team that can just run very fast sets every week, and basically just pick up chaos here and there from Pokemon that I have chipped down. So that's gonna be Greninja. The nickname for Greninja will be Zed. So in round number 5 I decided it might be time to actually start dealing with that electric problem that we have stacked on our squad, and usually the way that I deal with electric problems are just to slap on a bulky grass type on the squad, and that usually solves itself. So that was the plan for round number 5, and when I picked up Greninja in round number 4, there were 12 picks left until it was my turn again, and I had 3 Pokemon in mind when I thought of bulky grass type, and I was very relieved. You know, 3 Pokemon, I should not be sniped from all 3, but then Amoonguss goes quite quickly directly after I picked Greninja, and I was like, well, there are 2 Pokemon left, it should be fine. But then Shaman goes, and now I start to actually panic, and I was like, holy shit, if I actually get sniped there, I might actually screw up my draft. But luckily Roserade falls all the way down to me, so that will be my round 5 pick. And I wanted to shout out Bill Standish, of course, because, you know, he inspired me to pick up this Pokemon, and the more I looked into it, the more I'm actually excited to try this Pokemon out. It's one of his favorite Pokemon, of course. Now, Roserade is quite an interesting interesting Pokemon. It has nice speed, it has very good special defense, not that good of a defensive stat, but it can be worked on. But the main thing is that it gives me, of course, a bulky grass type, helps me without the electric problem, and it gives me grounded poison, which will absorb all those T-spikes, which might actually annoy my low tick, being able to not get the flame orb if it's poisoned first on switching. Gives me another spike stacker with Greninja and another toxic spike setter, which is also very good. So now Greninja is not forced into that role. But the main thing is that Roserade is so good offensively compared to all the other grasses that I had in mind. Now, this Pokemon can do so much damage. The main thing is that it does get access to the ability Technician, and Technician will boost all those hidden powers into very, very strong attacks, which opponents might not see coming, and it will do so much more damage than people are expecting. Hidden powers are usually quite weak, but with the Technician boost, this shit can do a lot of damage. Let me tell you, this Pokemon can actually perform such a good offensive role that it is crazy. Roserade can also function as a team cleric with that aromatherapy, which is always lovely. It does have the ability to actually lead to an opponent. It can heal itself up with the synthesis. There's a lot of things that Roserade can actually do, and the versatility is very appreciated on my squad right now. So yeah, it will be a very, very cool asset to the team. And the nickname for Roserade will actually be Bohem, who made the song Future Self. So moving into round number 6, I thought it would be appropriate to keep the trend going on actually trying to check opposing electric type Pokemon, and might as well just do that by picking up an electric type myself. And even though people thought that this was a little bit of a reach, you know, you normally don't tend to go into tier 5 in round number 6, but I really wanted this specific Pokemon. I didn't want anyone else to actually pick it up before me, so might as well just take my time and pick it up when I actually can. And you know, there are a bunch of really good budget electric types in tier 5, but the one that I really wanted, especially since I just picked up 2 spike stackers, is Rotom base form, which I managed to get. The nickname for Rotom base form will be Kodeko. Now, Rotom base form is quite an interesting Pokemon, which a lot of people actually tend to pass up on, which in my opinion is quite a shame, because this thing is actually quite good and a lot of fun to play with. It doesn't have the bulk that the other Rotom forms have. I only think it has base 77 in defenses, while the other Rotom forms have over 100, so, you know, it doesn't have the bulk to back it up. Well, it doesn't have the amount of bulk that the other Rotom forms have, but what it does have is actually the Electric Ghost typing with the Levitate ability, allowing it to check certain niche Pokemon completely, which is a lot of fun. Stuff like Excadrill and Sand can't do anything, Cobalion can't do anything, Diggersby is like instantly walled by this thing, and a lot of the flying types can't break this at all. So it gives this Pokemon like a niche role, and it can actually do some damage with the special attack of 95. Now, the other thing with Rotom Ghost is, of course, that it can actually switch in on Rapid Spin. It is a perfect spin blocker, which just synergizes so well with my spike stackers that I have on my team. It can Volt Switch into my big breakers, stuff like Greninja, and especially the Mega Diancie. Now, I do form like a Volturn core with the Greninja and the Rotom, which is quite nice. Rotom, of course, gives me a defogger, not the most reliable defogger, but it does give me a defogger, so that's always nice. It is a status spreader, it is a pain splitter, it can do a lot of things, and a lot of teams actually struggle to deal with this Pokemon, mainly due to the fact that people tend to look down on it, and underrating Rotom might be your biggest mistake, because this thing can actually be such a huge annoyance to your squad. So moving into round number 7, I actually managed to get Snipe for the first time. And this wasn't really a heartbreaking Snipe by any means. You know, I wasn't really expecting Snorlax to last all the way back to me, since, you know, it is a very powerful Pokemon, but it wasn't picked up at this point, so there was a tiny chance, and people might forget about it and I will just be able to scoop it up. But, you know, it was picked up just a few picks after my Rotom pick. But, with that being said, I was actually doing the math, and it turns out that I can actually pick up another tier 2 Pokemon, even though I picked up a tier 2 Roserade as my free pick, and I'm planning on picking up a tier 1 pick after this, so I can still pick up another tier 2 pick. So I was going into the tier 2 pool, and it turns out One of, if not my favorite draft league Pokemon is still being on draft at this point, so I felt like it would be pretty much a crime for me to not pick up Reuniclus at this point. So that's exactly what I did. I want to show everyone what they're missing out on, because I picked up Reuniclus in my last like 3 leagues, and it just never lets me down. This Pokemon is absolutely fantastic due to the fact that it's so hard to prepare against. If you miss prep against any one of its like good sets, you will not be able to either break it or take any hits from this thing, because it hits hard, it's super fat, and it's just very, very versatile when it comes to checking opponent threats. I can design pretty much Reuniclus to deal with whatever I want to check from my opponent's side of the field, which is very good, and it also gives me a second win con, which is even better. So now I can run stuff like offensive Celesteela and have Reuniclus check a certain threat that Celesteela might want to check otherwise, and on the other hand I can run Celesteela defensively, I can run Reuniclus as my sweeper, which is just absolutely fantastic. The ability to have Magic Guard or Regenerator as my abilities will just mess up with my opponent. It's so fat it will never die. I can run Lure sets, Trick Room sets, Assault Vest, regen sets, like Carmine sets. I have so many options with this Pokemon, which is why I love it so much. Reuniclus' nickname will be MVP, because you know it is the MVP. It's never let me down. I don't think it will this season either, so I think the nickname fits it very well. So with Reuniclus on the squad, I am already feeling very comfortable with the team that I've drafted in the first 7 rounds. I do feel like it's looking very, very good so far, but you know, I do have the points to pick up another tier 1 pick, and might as well just utilize my resources to pick up another very, very big powerhouse. So that's what I'm gonna do right now, and the Pokemon that I actually drafted is the Blacephalon. And now you might be wondering, why did I pick up Blacephalon? It doesn't really fit your team. You already do have like a very good special breaker, and you already do have a ghost type. But the reason why I picked up Blacephalon is actually to trade it away to a guy called Ace. Now you might remember Ace. I talked about it in the beginning. He had a tier 1 pick that he didn't really feel too comfortable with, since he actually picked up the Megalopony, and you know, Megalopony Blacephalon is a fantastic course. So he was actually offering his tier 1 pick for my Blacephalon right from the beginning. So that's why I picked up Blacephalon right now. So I actually decided to agree with this trade. I traded away my Blacephalon, and I actually picked up his Garchomp. Now Garchomp just fits my team fantastically in my opinion, so I'm so glad that actually this trade went through, because Garchomp is a fantastic mon. It gives me a very, very reliable Stealth Rocker, which I didn't really have at this point. I have a lot of Spike Stackers, but Stealth Rocks are something that I'm kind of missing out. So Garchomp gives me that. You know, I have Megadiancy, but you know, it's not really that good of a Stealth Rocker. Garchomp is a fantastic one. Garchomp is actually going to be my Z-move user, which turns this thing into an absolute nuke. Garchomp will just be able to come in, click something, kill something, and that gives me a huge advantage, especially since my team is kind of relying around like chipping down opponents. Maybe have something set up to be a win con later on, stuff like Carmine Megadiancy, Rockbomb Megadanshi. We can have something like a Totemized Celesteela, Carmine Reuniclus, and to have that function, we need to have 1 or 2 Pokemon gone to make this even better to do that. And Garchomp will just absolutely do that role for me, because if I click a Dragonium, if I click a Groundium, something is going to drop, which is absolutely fantastic. Garchomp also gives me a Dragon type, so now my Dragon Fairy Steel Core is complete. Also gives me a very good Ground type, and that just blocks all the electric problems that I have right now. Kind of literally, because Garchomp can just switch in on all types of electric types. Of course, I have to be worried about the HP Ices, but Garchomp will just be able to block any sort of Volt Switch momentum, any sort of like Thunder Wave spam, all of that is just blocked by Garchomp, and it gives me a fantastic speed tier at base 102, which is always appreciated. So now my speed tiers are lining up quite well. I am kind of missing out on 1 or 2 things that I will probably be able to pick up later down the draft, but right now Garchomp is just looking absolutely astoundingly good for my draft, so I'm so glad that me and Ace actually did this trade. And Garchomp's next name will be Hardwell. So moving into round number 9, I thought it might be time to actually patch up the only unfinished core that I have left, which is the Fire Water Grass core, and the only thing I need is now a fire typing. So I'm looking through the tiers in tier 4 and 5, which is what I can pick up at this point, and there's one Pokemon that stands out to me above all else, and that is actually Moltres, which will be my round 9 pick. Now the reason why I want to try out Moltres so bad is mainly due to the fact that my man Checkmate Ben used this to great success, and it's actually one of the best battles I've ever seen. Checkmate is a god, and he managed to use Moltres as a defensive pivot, compared with the Cobalion, to wall out a team with a Kyurem Black, Mega Lopunny, Tapu Lele, Alola Marowak, and Thundurus. Now you might be thinking, how the hell did you do that? I don't know, which is why I want to try out Moltres myself, because this is actually looking like a very good Pokemon in general. It is a very offensively scary Pokemon, because Fire and Flying has a very good matchup against a lot of typings. Stuff like Steel types from my Mechadiense, stuff like Grass types from my Milotic and Greninja, and stuff like Ice types from my Garchomp are just 3 good examples of that. And it does have 2 really cool abilities in Pressure and Flame Body. Pressure is, of course, if I want to utilize that defensive set, stuff like Windcoon, which is just very annoying to play against, and it can be very valuable for like prepping. If you know that I can just PP stall and move down, stuff like Shaman Seed Flare, and it won't be able to hit my Milotic with it after, something like that. Flame Body, of course, is a very good ability. Stops pivoting momentum with U-turn. I can just come in, pretty much cripple a Pokemon with the burn from the Flame Body, and that will just be that. And it does have like other moves that I can utilize, stuff like Substitute. I can use Morning Sun. I can use Roost. I can use a lot of like really cool techs with this Pokemon, and it's kind of hard to break and hard to switch into, which is what I want. Now, of course, it comes with that 4 times weakness to Rock, and which means that it does have a 4 times weakness to Stealth Rocks, but in all honesty, I'm not really too worried about it, mainly due to the fact that Moltres can switch in on most of the Stealth Rockers in the format and defog them away straight away, since it does have the defogging plus the hidden ability with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which I really do like. So Moltres will be a very valuable asset to the team, and the nickname for Moltres will be Neon. So we only have 2 more picks to go in order to finish up our PEBA Season 2 teams, and spoiler alert, both of those will be Tier 5 picks, but I do feel like these were 2 very valuable Tier 5 picks, if I do say so myself. So starting off in round number 10, I actually decided to pick up a normal type, and after some discussion with Tangela Boots, aka Troy, you all know him, you all love him, we actually came to the conclusion that type Null, which I originally planned on picking up, might not be the best for me, but on the other hand, Licky was still around, and I might just want to give that a go, because I usually play in leagues with a person named Scout or Probo Past, and she is absolutely in love with this Pokemon, Licky, so you know, she usually picks this up in round 6 or 7 when she knows she can just get it and no one else will pick it up. So I've never actually been able to draft Licky myself, because she always comes before me. But now when she's not in PEBA Season 2, I thought, well, this might just be my only chance of ever drafting Licky in my life, so might as well just give it a go. And Licky is a very good Pokemon, I'd say, for being Tier 5. It is super fat, and the main thing I want with Licky, which Tangela Boots pointed out, is that Wish for my team can be very good. Celesteela has, like, quote-unquote reliable recovery with Elite Seed, but other than that, it can't get back itself. But Licky can actually help with that. With a base 110 HP stats, I'll be able to actually Wish Pass to my entire team, which is very solid. It does have, like, decent defenses. It does have access to something like Curse if I want to set up. But the main name of the game is actually, in my opinion, its versatility when it comes to the move pool. As a normal typing, Game Freak just loves to just pump in all sorts of coverage moves for normal types. I have fire coverage in Flamethrower, I have like grass coverage, I have like fighting dark, I have ice, I have pretty much everything I want, which means that I'm not really set up for any other Pokemon. Stuff like Zygarde, well, I can just Ice Punch that, something like that. But I really do like this Pokemon. I do feel like it will be very valuable for the squad, and I'm actually going to name Licky Scout after Probopass because, you know, since she loves this Pokemon so much, might as well just name it after her. So yeah, that will be Licky or Scout the Licky, my round 10 pick. And finally, in round number 11, I felt very comfortable with my draft so far. I felt like I didn't really need to draft anything else in order to make it better, so I might as well just pick up some moral support for me, which is going to be Mascot, the Goomy. Yeah, I actually opted to draft my own mascot, which is quite funny. I really do love Goomy, mainly for the design. It's so damn cute, and even though it might not come to all my battles, it will just be the best mascot on the bench that I can ever wish for. It is adorable. You can just look at those cheeks and just feel like, well, I might as well just win this week just because I have Goomy on the bench. And that's why I picked it up. No real reason else. I just love this Pokemon as a Pokemon and not really as a competitive value Pokemon. So yeah, that's going to be my last pick. Goomy will of course be nicknamed Mascot. I don't really have a song for it, so I'll just find something on my computer to just play. So that is going to wrap up the team for the PSV Enteihoven in PEBA Season 2, and I'm going to say I'm very excited to start off this season. First battle will go up on either Saturday or Sunday, depending on how much time I have. And if you wonder if I will just quit the PCBL or something like that, no, they will still be up. There won't be a battle this week because we had a little bit of a bye week in week 9. So the PCBL will continue on, but that will be next week. And from there I'll just do PEBA and PCBL both together, not in the same videos, but both on the same weekend. So that will be a lot of fun. I'm very comfortable with my draft. I feel like it turned out pretty much exactly how I wanted it. I have some new aspects in like Garchomp and like Moltres and stuff like that, which I never used before. I'm very excited about. But we have some old guys like Megadiancy and Reuniclus, just Pokemon that I really just enjoy using. So I feel like the team is very Strompfel friendly, if you get that reference. I feel like I will just play very well with it. So yeah, with that all being said, you can leave any thoughts or comments or inspirational picks or just all your thoughts. You can just leave that in the comment section down below, and definitely make sure to read them and comment back if you have some sort of criticism. I can just explain a little bit further why I maybe picked up the Pokemon that I did. But that's going to be all for me. Thank you so much for watching. I don't think, I don't even know how long this video went for. Hopefully under 40 minutes, but a man can wish and dream. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see all of you next time. Goodbye.